Hey folks, today we're going to work on one of our first drawing projects for the class. We're going to work on something, it's called the Big Inch. You've got some related documents, links to documents and links to videos on my website that you can get through Google Classroom. For our purposes for today, all you're going to need is your ruler, your eraser shield, and for my purposes, you can use whatever one you want, but you know what? I'm going to try doing this with the 0.7 pencil today, and so that's the one that is the middle one. We have a 0.5, 0.7, and a 0.9. The 0.7 is medium dark. It'll give you a little bit of a fat line, whereas the 0.5 gives you a really skinny one. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use, you can, if you want to, leave your page in the book. I'm going to tear it out for my purposes. I have an easier time working when my page lays flat, but if you want to, you can do this still in the spiral bound notebook here. The thing is, realize that there is a drawing on the other side. This is something you may be going over. I think this is going to be more for drafting 2, but so maybe I'll use this one instead. Okay, now we want to make our drawings as even as possible as far as being even with the top and the bottom line. So we're going to be drawing something that's going to go through the middle of our paper here. Do your best to make sure it's centered. It's not like cockeyed, but is actually centered to the best of your ability. This ruler is 6 inches. We're going to be making an 8-inch long ruler. Then we're going to divide it up into sections, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be illustrating more or less what we have here, what the different segments of an inch are. We're going to divide it in half. We're going to divide it in half again for quarters. We'll divide it in half again, so we'll have 1/8 inches. And we'll divide it in half again and have 1/16. So what we're doing is we're taking the ruler here, which if you count on 1 inch, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 little tick marks here, right? So what we're going to do is be blowing it up so that our inch is this long. All right, so I'm going to do that now. There is a video on the website. It's going over this really quickly. It's sped up because, well, frankly, this is going to take a little while. So I'm starting at 1 inch over here. I'm marking off the midpoint here, which is 4 inches. And the 2 inch. Then I'm going to move my ruler over, lining those up as best that I can so that it remains even and level. So this is 2, 4, 6, 8 inches across. Okay? Now let's move it back to the beginning part here. This is what you're going to be working on today, drawing this yourself, doing your best to keep it as smooth and careful on the paper so that everything lines up well. Move down here to the end at the 8-inch mark. Doesn't have to be perfect, but I do want it to be close. So this is what we're working with right here. 8 inches, 2, 4, 6, 8 inches. Now we're going to divide those into half. So here's 4 inches, here's 2 inches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 inches total. And we're blowing this up to 800%. So we're taking 1 inch, blowing it up 800%, and we're going to take all these little hash marks and we're going to draw them in here. Now, the longest hash mark you'll see is the 1/2 inch mark and the ones at either end. So let's do those first. You will need your triangle for this. The triangle, the way that this works is it helps you draw a perfect 90-degree angle so your lines are all straight up and down. So you line up the bottom of your triangle with this line here. We know that this is 90 degrees, so any lines that we draw here are going to be straight up and down. So let's do that now. So the longest line, when you look at the ruler, I'll leave it up here for reference. I'll have to move it eventually because the triangle is going to get in the way, is the 1 inch line. So where you ever have a 1, a 2, a 3, or a 4 is the longest. We're going to make that 1/2 inch long. And same thing on the other side. Carefully, because we're using the triangle, we're going to estimate the length of this. We're going to line it up so it's parallel to this bottom line, make a line that's about 1 inch long. If you want to, you can measure it just to make sure. Excuse me, 1/2 inch long. That's a little bit too long, so now we're going to use the eraser shield and erase a little bit of it. There we go. And we can redo this line here. So what we have here is 1 inch. Next step, the next longest line is the 1/2 inch. So let's do that next. The 1/2 inch is in the middle of the inch because it is 1/2. And we're gonna make that, oh, let's see, not quite 1/2 inch. We're gonna make it a little shorter. So we have 0 inches, 1 inches, and 1/2 inch. Next are the 1/4 inch lines. So if we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it is 8 tick marks to the 1/2 inch. Half of that is 4. That will be here. And we'll make that a little bit shorter. Rulers make these tick lines different lengths so you can read them, better read the differences between them. You know that that is a 1/16 of an inch because it is the shortest. You know that is an 1/8 because it's the next longest. You know that's a 1/2. So when you're reading your ruler, they tend to make the lines a little shorter each time. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8 of an inch for these lines. Same thing down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8 of an inch. Same thing with this one, because this is also an 1/8 inch. So 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, 8/8. So let's do 5/8 of an inch for this line. Again, we're lining up the bottom of the triangle, so it's a perfect 90-degree angle. We're going to do 5/8 of an inch for this line. Same thing over here. Same thing over here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I made this guy a little too long. Let's bring our eraser shield in. That'll help us erase. And not use the pencil eraser. These just don't work quite as well. Okay, so what we have now are 1 inch, 0 inches, 1 inch. Here's our 1/2, 1/4, 1/4, 1/8, 1/8, 1/8, 1/8. All right, what's next? 1/16. So let's divide this up into 1/16 inches. That was off. We're going to erase that one and fix it. When we're in the classroom and we're using our drafting boards, you don't have to worry about lining things up as much because we have a bar for us to rest our tools on. But for our purposes in class, while we're working this term, we're going to have to spend a lot of time carefully lining up our tools to make lines perfectly level and so forth. All right, so 1/16 inch, we're going to do those. Then we're going to pause the video and we'll label it. For the 1/16 inch, we're just going to do 3/16 of an inch line. So that's right here. 1, 2, 3. It's a short little guy. Same thing with this one. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to do that all the way across. Carefully lining up the bottom of the triangle so these lines are as straight as possible, as accurate as possible. This is about visual storytelling. When we're doing drafting, we are relaying information visually. We need people to be able to see things accurately. And so we need to be as precise as possible when we work. Now, granted, since we're working from home, I know this isn't going to be as precise as it would be during the normal school year, but I want you to get as close as possible. All right, I'm going to pause this video here. This is what you should have. You should have right now 1 inch blown up 800% so that you have all these hash marks at the 16th, 8th, quarter, and half. For the next video, we're going to label this thing. I'm going to pause this now, and you can move on to the next one.